What's going on, everybody? We are back with the Growing Pains podcast, here with another great episode of Big Z and the Wolf. Clearly, I'm Big Z, and this is the Wolf.
Yeah, we got a good one today, man. We're going to be talking about work ethic. We're going to be talking about, how long you should, or we're just going to put our thoughts on it. How long you should work towards a dream. What are you going to do when you fail? What do you plan? How do you execute? What happens when you're losing? All this kind of stuff. I mean, look, I'm not going to say we're the greatest people to listen to about it, but I think we have, some good insight to it. Obviously, we're working towards something.
Yep.
We're recording this episode on a Sunday. We might release it tomorrow on Monday. We're going to have to edit it tonight, get it posted on YouTube and all that good stuff. I think we have a hell of a work ethic. I would say any young kids that are listening to us, I appreciate it. I'm not going to lead you astray.
Yep.
But first and foremost, I guess, Z, you can kind of talk on, when somebody's trying to build something. Look, a lot of people, are employees.
Mm-hmm.
You can say work ethic goes towards building a career as well.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to talk on building a career or building a business, or what type of work ethic do you think somebody needs, just to, let's say, build a career, build a business. It kind of goes hand in hand. I feel like you got to have the same type of work ethic on each situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, listen, either or, you got to work hard at it if you want to go somewhere with it. A career is kind of more like play by the rules for sure. Like a dream is like
you make the rules.
Yeah, and everybody else is telling you, oh, you're out of your mind, but at the same time you got a vision and you got to carry out and get it done. You got to have a plan and get it done.
Yeah, and I think the difference too is like when you're chasing a dream or you're trying to build something for yourself, like there's really no blueprint.
No, there's really not.
When you're working in a company and you're working for someone, like, there is normally always somebody above you. So there is a blueprint of, what type of person you want to be, what type of person you should work towards, and take a little bit from somebody.
Right.
One thing that I wanted to talk about, though, is how long do you work towards a dream? What do you think?
I'm going to be honest with you. You can never stop working towards a dream. There's people out there that have worked 10 plus years for a dream. And
for sure.
It only takes that one day. You know what I mean? You come across, you meet the right person or something, and then everything changes from there. But you can remain stagnant for them full 10 years, and it could be brutal for them 10 years. But once you make connection or you make a breakthrough on something you were working on, I think
a lot of it goes into it too, though, like how long you're working towards a dream. Like the thing is, you could be working at something for 15 minutes a day, and it's like you're going to be working on it forever.
Yeah.
I think there's I don't really see a stopping point to it. I think, different strokes for different folks, but
for sure.
If you're locked in for 15, 20 years and you're still at the same place you were 15, 20 years ago, you got to self-reflect a little bit. I think you got to make some sort of growth and see some sort of positive outcomes and see some light at the end of the tunnel. But just because you see the light at the end of the tunnel doesn't mean you're out of the tunnel. That's some things that people don't understand, I think. Like, a lot of people see the light at the end of the tunnel and they think they're rich already. Yeah. But meanwhile, we're in the same tunnel they are. Just because you see the light doesn't mean you're there yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Like, a lot of people get to a point where it might be the breakthrough for them, but they think they already made it, and that's where they screw up and they don't keep taking them steps and maybe put in that one more extra year of hard work.
Right.
So I agree with you. I think you got to.
And I also think that as for self-reflect, I think that that should be a pretty common thing. If you're
for sure,
if you're 6 months in somewhere and you're not making any progress, you're not getting any type of you're doing a good job or something like that from a higher up. Obviously, if you were in a career, because like if you have a dream and you're starting a business or something. That's the tough part, there's nobody to go to, you're going totally off of what you think. That's it.
The feedback you're getting is just the product you're putting out. And sometimes if the product isn't being put in front of people.
I would say probably self-reflect every 6 months. I would try to at least.
Yeah.
Have I made any progress here? No. Okay. All right. I need to either work harder or figure something out.
I think that goes towards too, like we were going to talk about, like planning. planning out you can even say your career, planning out your business plan, anything like that. Like I think what you have to do is just write it down and then reflect on how far you've gotten. Like one thing that I think is big is just making a daily goal. Make a daily goal, a weekly goal, whatever, that goes towards your long-term goal. So then if you're hitting those daily goals and you're hitting those weekly goals, you're getting that much closer to your main goal. You know what I mean? So as long as you're executing on those things, but the thing is, a lot of people go into things blind, and it's, they see something online, they think the grass is greener, they go in with no plan, and it's like, if you go in with no plan, there's nothing to execute on. It's just you going in blindly.
Yep.
So I definitely think a plan, self-reflecting on that plan.
For sure.
And then just setting different goals for yourself. Like I've had goals in my career. I wanted to get to certain places in a certain amount of time.
Yep.
And look, sometimes it takes a little longer, but at least you know what you're shooting for.
And also if you say you set a goal and maybe your time frame isn't realistic, maybe you're like, okay, I want to do this in 6 months, and the same guy over here is talking about you're insane for even trying that. But in 6 months, you might be a lot closer to your goal than he is.
That's the thing. I definitely think there's a good and bad side to shooting for a long-term goal and making it a little short-term, just because it's like you're going to work that much harder.
Right.
So that cuts down, like we were talking about, how long you work towards your dream, how long do you work towards your goal. Like if I set a goal for 6 months from now and Z sets a goal from 3 months to now, even if he doesn't get it in 3, he's probably going to get it in 5.
Right, exactly.
Whereas I might not get it in...
You might not even make it
I might not even make it in 6. I might not make it till 8.
Right.
But he's working that much harder just because it's more of a short-term goal. And the thing is with people, a lot of people procrastinate. People procrastinate on their dreams too.
Yeah.
So it's like you can make a 6-month goal, but you're probably not going to start really, really hustling until 5 months when you think you're not going to make it happen.
Right.
It's just like the procrastination thing to it. But one thing, chasing a goal, even in a career, it's a big thing. It's just like sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you willing to give up for it? Are you I'm not going to go to the club every weekend if we have a podcast to do. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm not going to go to the club if we're going out to a city and we got to do something the next morning. If I go to a new city, obviously, I want to go out, drink, I want to have a good time, I want to sightsee, I want to do all this stuff. But if it's a business trip, it's a business trip.
Strictly business.
You know what I mean? And one thing I think people don't realize is you got to sacrifice a lot of time from, your family.
Yeah.
For not even for a dream, for sure.
For sure.
But for a career, people get noticed for putting in the overtime. People get noticed for coming in early. People get noticed for being able to stay late. And all that time, you have to have a good support system.
Yeah, you
I
really
think,
do.
At home.
You do.
That's one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit yesterday is just how important it is to have a strong significant other with you, have a strong family, just that understands that you're going for a bigger goal.
Right.
And look, my wife is flying down to Disney right now and I'm not going. I got work tomorrow, you know what I mean? But it's I wrote down in my journal today that, this is what I'm working hard for. Right. So that, my wife and my son can go do these type of things. And, it's a sacrifice. Would I love to go there? Yeah, but there's a bigger picture to it.
Absolutely, there is.
Another thing is a lot of time and a lot of money going to chasing a dream.
Yeah.
How much time, how much money are you willing to put into something till you say it's not worth it?
Yeah.
We're spending money on the podcast.
I was just about to say this weekend we spent a lot of money on this podcast, and
you got to invest in yourself.
Listen, I don't feel bad about it at all. I actually think we made a great decision.
I was happy.
I was happy too.
We got all new equipment. We got new lighting. Obviously, we have the new setup. We got a lot of other new things coming. We have a whole new studio getting built that, it's not cheap, but it's going to be ours and it's going to be super professional. It's going to be, I'm going to tell you, probably 5-10 steps above this right now.
For sure.
But we're investing in ourselves. And the thing is, look, we invest 50, 100,000 into it and the podcast is getting 5, 10, 15 views. Maybe it's a dumb investment. We invest $5,000 into this and we get 15, 20, 30, 40, 50K views, like I say, it's a good investment and we invest more into it.
Right. Exactly.
But same thing like what you said. I think the biggest thing is just like self-reflection.
For sure. Self-reflection.
Self-reflection on, look, your finances, on how far you're going, self-reflecting on your goals.
Mm-hmm.
But a big thing is I think how you act when you're winning and how you act when you're losing.
That's a huge thing right there, because a lot of people will get a very, very small win on their goal or their dream that they got, and they go out and, you know,
they stop investing in themselves.
They made it. Stop investing. You know,
get a big head. You know what I mean? That's the thing too.
Absolutely.
Like we've had some wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's still like I feel like we're still at square one. I don't think we're at square two yet.
I couldn't agree more with that.
And
man.
it's like you got to stack the wins. You know what I mean? Get 10, 15, 20 wins under your belt, and then, you know, maybe act like you're somebody. But a big thing is like
I don't even know about that.
When you're losing, though. When you're losing too, like how do you react to it? Is it your fault? Is it the world's fault? Is it the fans' fault? Like whose fault is it? Because I know whose fault it is when I'm losing.
It's my fault. 10 out of 10 times.
Exactly.
And I can also promise you this: like if I'll fall down 15 times, I'm getting up 16.
Exactly.
100% of the time.
Roll with the punches.
I'll never fall down and quit. It won't happen. And especially if I see something or if I'm like really invested in something, and you know, I would never turn around on that ever.
And that's the thing. Like a lot of people, the thing is, like you got to look at it.
And that kind of goes for like my main career that we both have, and also the podcast. You know, like I don't care if I fall down 20 times. I'm getting up 21 for sure.
Well, that's the thing too, though. Like people see that too. People see you when you're winning. People see you how you're losing, and they're gonna judge you no matter what. People are gonna judge you no matter what. But I feel like personally, like I judge somebody at a higher caliber when they get knocked down, and then I see them come back 10 times stronger. I'm like, damn, they're a dog. You know what I mean?
Damn, yeah, he's doing it.
And the thing is, like, when somebody's winning, it's easy to act like you're the shit. It's easy to act like, oh man, look at me, 100,000 subscribers, blah 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 blah. But the thing is, like, all right, lose all that.
Yeah.
And then let's see how you come back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think come back. Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing. And the other thing too is like, I'm not really looking at anything as like a failure. Like, look, we've shot podcast episodes, gotten halfway through, the camera shut off. We had to start the whole podcast over with a guest. You know what I mean? And the thing is, the podcast was 10 times better the second time around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like,
for sure.
Was it a failure? I don't know. I learned to charge the battery in the camera. You know what I mean? I learned to make sure there's enough storage in the computer. Like, those are all big lessons that we had in the very beginning. Whereas, look, we're going to Chicago. We could have traveled to Chicago, never had these quote unquote failures happen to us. Yeah. And they happened there and we look like a bunch of dweebs.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think a lot of it is just, you know, everything comes with a lesson.
For sure.
So I don't think it's really a failure. But I mean, look, just to recap kind of everything, I think we both agreed on pretty much all this. Work ethic, you got to be top tier.
You have to be,
The thing is, the people that we've been talking to, like, they don't even drink. Like, they're up 5 a.m. They're at the gym. They're out at the gym 10 p.m. at night. They're eating healthy. You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, you look at these people's Instagrams and they're living great. Like, does all that other bullshit really matter? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
You know what I mean? So you got, and that's top tier, like, that's top tier work ethic. So I think you have to have that to succeed. Everybody that I've ever seen in my life, their work ethic, I feel like I took a little bit of it from everybody, and it made me be like, shit, they could work like this. Why can't I?
Yep.
And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people will look at somebody else and be like, oh, they make it look easy. They make it look easy. But you don't know, like, that person's been getting up 4:30 a.m. for the last 5.5 years. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe they make it look easy, but it wasn't easy when they started. You know what I mean? Like, that's like people doing cold plunges. Like, that shit was cold when it started. You know what I mean? It ain't cold no more. They've been doing it for 6 months.
Right.
But so work ethic got to be top tier.
It has to be.
How long you gonna work towards your dream? Look, I mean, if it's a dream and it's something you're passionate about, I say you work on it till you're dead. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
I mean, obviously you got to fund your life. You got to fund your lifestyle. Depends on what type of life you want to have. But I think you got to work until, you know, every person knows when they're ready to give up.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah,
just
and
don't,
it's like it's really more of a personal thing.
Yeah, you know? I'd say don't go to the grave with any regrets.
It's up to you where you're at now, how far you want to go, and how far you came from when you started, and then make all the calculations, and that's a decision you're gonna have to make by yourself.
That's it. I say make a plan, figure out how to execute it, short term, long term goals.
Yeah.
Listen, sacrifice whatever you have to sacrifice. You know what I mean? Sometimes you might not be able to go to your friend's birthdays. Sometimes you might not be able to go to your cousin's wedding. I mean, look, you got to look at the bigger picture and things and say, shit, next year I'm going to be able to get them an anniversary gift that's 10 times more than what I would have gave them for their wedding because I missed it and I went to this business meeting. I went to this business conference. So there's things you got to sacrifice, weigh the pluses and minuses. And as long as you have that strong foundation in your life, the people around it will understand. Mm-hmm. You got to invest your time. You got to invest your money. Yeah. Same thing as how long you're going to work for it. I mean, that's different strokes for different folks. How much money you're going to invest, how much time you're going to invest. Yeah. I'm ready to invest whatever I have to.
I'm going to invest everything.
What happens when you're losing? What happens when you're winning? Just remember, people are watching. They watch your losses. They judge it. They watch your winnings. They judge it. They're going to judge whatever you're doing. Yeah. I say don't view a failure as a failure. View it as a lesson.
Yes, 100%. That's a big one. A lot of people, I even see people like when they fail in something, they'll mope around and be upset
all the time.
about it. I see it all the time.
And listen. It happens to me too sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's where like the self-reflection comes in. There's sometimes where like, listen,
it's inevitable.
You could fall. If you fall, you get kicked while you're down. You're gonna feel like shit. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, give yourself 5 minutes, feel like shit, get over it, and get back to the grind. That's all you can do is...
You got to try to change your perspective.
Because people are watching. We talked about it yesterday. Like, when you walk into a room, people are watching. Like, and some people, you can't not be seen when you walk into a room. Like you were talking about yesterday. You're seen when you walk into a room.
Seen no matter what.
I feel like I'm seen when I walk into a room. Like, I feel like my presence is felt. Yeah. So you got to remember, like, people are watching. Mm-hmm. But...
You come in there with a negative energy, you're going to get a negative outcome.
They feel it.
That could have opened the door for you that could have been life-changing.
Yeah, that's that you've been working towards that dream for so long, and you walked in there looking upset, looking pissed off.
You're fighting with your old lady or something.
And you missed that one person. Yep. You missed that one person that could have been the one to put you towards your dream.
For sure.
But that night, you wanted to be sad and pissed off. But listen, get over it. Life's about being happy. Life's about working hard.
Yeah.
And I said we're going to keep working hard. And this is the Growing Pains Podcast.
With
Big
two
Z
T's.
and the Wolf.